Hello everybody! Here we are once again in southern Switzerland on the farm of Tankred Götsch. And even though fall is just going into full-fledged, we're already preparing for spring. And what I'm here to talk to you about today is this stuff. This biomass. Because in this type of farming system, as we have it here, our goal is to minimize exposed soils to the highest extent that we can. To protect the soil from sunlight, keep in moisture, and encourage all kinds of microbial activities, we cover the soil at all times with wood chips, leaves, hay, straw, anything at our disposal. So today I will talk about a few trees that we can find here on this plot of land, which we are using for the biomass. The first one I'll talk about is this guy here, the sweet chestnut. The sweet chestnut is not only great as a staple food, the nuts, but also as a biomass producer and timber producer. Here on the right of me you can see some sweet chestnuts that have been coppiced last year, and now they've made so many new shoots going all out of the stem. They've been pruned off yesterday, but you can see all the little stumps that are left. And what we've decided to do here is that we leave the stumps, and we tried different sizes, anywhere from 3 to 15, 20 centimeters, because when you leave the stumps, there's not just going to come one shoot out of the stump, but many new shoots. And when you have many new shoots, they will grow, for one, with less vigor, but also the wood will be much finer, which means it's easier to cut down. You don't need a saw anymore, you can just go with the clipper. It's much easier for the soil life to break down, and yeah, you have much more leaves also. So yesterday we cut all these leaves down, all these branches down, and now we are busy covering the potatoes on the bottom of the hill with them. The other tree that we have here, what I want to say lastly about the chestnut is that the chestnut, it is such a high producer in biomass. When you coppice it like this, or when there's any place on the chestnut that's exposed to light, these shoots, they just fly out towards the sun from everywhere, and the whole thing just becomes one covered mess of chestnut branches. And you can literally cut it down every year and they'll produce again. And here in this field we've already pruned all the chestnuts, so you can't see the whole bush anymore that was there. But I will go walk around here and I'll find some sweet chestnuts where there's some branches exposed to light, or where it's been pruned, and there you can also see how many are coming out. It's not as much as was here, but just to get the idea. So yeah, we've been carrying all these branches down, chopping them up with the machete and covering the potatoes with it. And what other trees we are using for this is, for one, the lime, the Tilia Chordata. This tree is also an incredibly great biomass tree because it breaks down so fast and because the wood is so nice and soft to cut. The reason why the leaves, for example, break down so fast is because of the high calcium content that's found within them. Any plant material that has high calcium content is always favored by the soil microbial life, so they eat it first before they start processing the other food. The Tilia Chordata, though, it has, you cannot cut it every year. I will show you some trees around here that Tankred prepared in the previous years that we're not pruning yet, we're leaving them. And there was also some other ones that we already pruned again. Yeah, and it's really nice because it's so easy to cut with the machete, also with the scissors when you're pruning the tree. And yeah, it breaks down super fast, and it's also a really quite heavy producer, even though you should only prune it every second, maybe even third year. The other one that we have here is the hazelnut, which is nice because all the main shoots, the strongest shoots, they grow on the bottom, so you don't have to climb up the tree to go catch the shoots. And the other biomass tree that we have found, or that we have within this field, is the willow. Right now we're not using it as a biomass because we're still planting them. There was about 4 or 5 moderate aged willow trees down there. We completely coppiced them, took everything off, and we stuck all the branches. We prepared them with a nice angle cut, took all the leaves off, and we planted them within the potato field and also around the fruit trees to discourage deer from coming to the potatoes and also to the fruit trees. So after watching and reviewing the video, we realized that there are 2 important things that are left to say. First of all, why do we choose to leave this forest in a medium development stage instead of letting it achieve a climax stadium? The reason for this is that in a middle-aged forest, there are typically a much higher biodiversity with much more fruit trees, and there is much higher food production, so in favor of the human, rather than in a climax community. There is not as much biodiversity, and the species, there are a lot of nut trees, like the sweet chestnut is found here all over the forest, but the food production is not as high as within this middle-aged system where we find apple trees, peach trees, pear trees, almond trees, potatoes, corn, all kinds of other vegetables we desire to plant. And there's more light, so more understory can develop. And secondly, what is also important is I mentioned that the lime tree is really fast decomposing, which is super exciting, but it should not overexcite you, because if we here only use lime for mulch, the soil would lose its structure because it all decomposes rather fast. And to get a healthy humus with a healthy structure in the soil, it is most optimal to use mulch that come from a variety of different trees. Like here we use the sweet chestnut, the willow, we used the lime and the hazelnut. And then what is also very beneficial is to cover it with hay and leaves from the trees after you applied the mulch. This way there is no light inside and moisture is retained within the mulch, so even bigger branches start to decompose. Whereas if you would leave it exposed on the surface of the soil, they will stay there for years and nothing will happen to them. And what is also important is that you don't use a mulch with only one particle size. You would like to have a mulch where there is pieces like this, then you have the leaves and the hay, so that you have pieces that go really fast and they create a medium for the other stuff around it to decompose, while the bigger pieces, they attract different kinds of fungi and different kinds of soil microbes that break down bigger pieces of wood. And yeah, so you want to find a balance within those two.